One thing I noticed lately is that martial arts is one of the most underrated things a person, and I'm not even talking about just fighting. That's what everyone else thinks martial arts is. I'm not. Now, I'm not talking about learning how to beat people up. I'm not talking about just how to defend yourself. That's part of it. But honestly, I think one of the least important things that you get out of it is doing that. I think one of the main things is that it teaches you structure. It teaches you that no matter what, there's somebody better than you, but to have the confidence to go in there anyway and keep fighting. I think everyone would benefit from doing some form of martial arts, such as boxing, kickboxing, Muay Thai, judo, jiu-jitsu. I would prefer something where you learn to get hit in the face, but that's not really everyone's style. But I really think that, getting hit in the face and knowing what that is really humbles you as a person. It teaches you humility. That's one of the first things I learned because no matter who you are, you're not as tough as you think. Even someone like John Jones, right? John Jones is one of the greatest fighters that have ever lived. But he has had thoughts that he could get beaten. He has had very razor thin fights against Dominic Reyes. He has had nightmares about Rampage Jackson, right? And this is honestly a good thing because a lot of people go their entire lives without being challenged physically or mentally, right? You've never been put in an uncomfortable situation before. How about somebody takes you down and holds you there, right? You've never been in this situation where you just gotta bite your mouth guard and get up, just forced to get up, or figure out a way just to shift. Don't give up, or don't tap. Right? There's been plenty of times whenever I was doing martial arts or mixed martial arts that somebody took me down. Right? They got me in this hold, this submission. Right? And I just was lacking strength in this certain part of my body, right? But I didn't sit there and tap. I would sit there and think about and calmly think about what is the best possible move that I could do, right? Because there are people that could absolutely dominate anyone, right? But when you walk into this martial arts gym, there's someone half your size throwing you around, submitting you, outworking you, and it's humbling. But in a healthy way, you got to think about this, right? This sounds like it's contradicting everything I'm saying, but it builds confidence because it humbles you. Because confidence doesn't come from thinking, "Hey, I'm the strongest in the room." Nah, it comes from knowing that you can handle a difficult situation. Believe me, I have talked my way out of more situations than I've done physically, right? I've known I've been tested. I know I've been uncomfortable before. I know I've failed and got backing up. That's real confidence. Not pretending to be tough, but actually being capable. Look, obviously there's a place and time to do what you gotta do, but for this, I think for young men especially, it gives you idea of structure. A lot of people maybe didn't have a father figure growing up. So they go to their gym and their coach or their sensei is like a father to them. And I think that that really like people miss something that pushes them, something that challenges them, something that forces them to improve. And martial arts to me does that automatically. I remember, look, I'm not even that good, but I remember whenever I didn't even know how to throw a 1-2, a 1-2, roundhouse kick. I remember when I was struggling with that, but I showed up, I trained, I got better, and I kept doing it, right? There's no shortcuts to getting better, there's no life hacks, there's no secret formula. You just got to put the work in, right? Another thing, it taught me that There are people better than me. It taught me that I can lose. Most people hate losing. That's probably the biggest lesson I've ever learned is some people have the biggest ego, and if it gets cracked just a little bit, they don't know how to act. You will get submitted. You will get outworked. You will get outclassed. You will get humbled. But here's the thing, everything that happens in the gym stays in the gym, right? You come back the next day, that's a skill. Being able to pick yourself back up and keep going, even when it's bad. Learning how to fall, right? Learning how to fail without quitting is the most valuable thing than learning how to win. Because every day, life is full of losses somehow. You may have a bad grade. You may have a job rejection. You may have a breakup. You may have a setback. Martial arts teaches you to keep going anyway. Another thing is one thing I've noticed is the toughest people I've met are usually the most respectful. Not always, but usually, right? Because once you trained long enough, you realize how dangerous people can actually be. Just me doing a year of mixed martial arts, I could see that that person is extremely dangerous. Why would I want to fight him whenever I could just walk away? Right? I don't have nothing to prove. Everything that I have to prove is within myself. I'm not gonna go look for convict. I'm not gonna go look for some conflict to make myself look like a Billy Badass. No, no, I don't need to. Look, I'm a way calmer person, somewhat, not more aggressive, and I think that's a lot of people misunderstand is they think that it's a bunch of jarhead, meathead people that go in there and they just want to beat people up and rip their heads off. No, no. Also, the physical benefits. Look, I stopped going for 9 months and I feel it every single day, right? Because I had pretty decent conditioning, pretty good, way better balance, better mobility. I was less stiff, I had decent endurance, way, way better coordination. But honestly, it was my mental. Look, the day that I quit going, from then to I could feel it mentally, right? Anyone can go lift weights, and I agree that you should lift weights. It boosts your testosterone. I think it's good. But putting yourself under uncomfortable situations and improving, that forces you to do better with your mind, with your brain. It's just, I love it. Also, a lonely thing about college, a lonely thing about life is that sometimes you just don't have a community. You don't have someone that you suffer together and it builds a better bond. That a good gym becomes like a family, like a community. Like you're surrounded with people trying to improve themselves, but there's to me less ego involved than going to the actual gym because you have different ages, different jobs, different backgrounds, all working towards something. And that's rare to these days, especially when there's so many people that spend their free time online, and that's including me, which I don't think everyone needs to become a fighter. I don't think everyone needs to compete, which I love competing. I don't think everyone needs to become a black belt, but I think everyone should try some form of martial arts at least once. Like I said, boxing, Muay Thai, jiu-jitsu, wrestling, judo, karate, taekwondo, whatever interests you. Because at the end of the day, martial arts teaches lessons that go way beyond fighting. It teaches discipline, humility, confidence, respect, resilience, and at the end of the day, honesty. Those are things most people could use a little more of. Maybe the goal isn't learning how to fight. Maybe the goal is becoming the kind of person who doesn't need to. Thank you.